Smart English Podcast.
Let's talk about everything.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Smart English Podcast, and we are truly happy that you are here with us today because in this episode, we are going to talk about a day in my life, and we will share our daily routines, small habits, and honest feelings in clear and natural English that beginners and intermediate learners can easily understand and confidently practice.
Yes, welcome back, everyone. And if this is your first time listening to our podcast, we are very grateful that you found us because our goal is to help you improve your English step by step in a relaxed and natural way, just like you were listening to two friends having a real conversation about everyday life.
My name is Jessica, and I really enjoy talking about daily life topics because they are simple, relatable, and extremely useful in real conversations, especially when you want to speak English comfortably and naturally.
And I am Brian, and I believe that describing your daily routine is one of the best ways to build speaking confidence because you are talking about something familiar while also practicing vocabulary and sentence structure at the same time.
So today, we are going to walk you through a full day in our lives, starting from the moment we wake up in the morning until the time we finally go to bed at night. And we will describe not only what we do, but also how we feel during different moments of the day.
And while you're listening, try to imagine your own daily routine and think about how you would describe your morning, your work or study time, and your evening relaxation in English, because that kind of active listening can really improve your fluency.
Every morning, I usually wake up around 6:30, and when my alarm rings, I sometimes feel very comfortable in my bed, and I just want to close my eyes again for a few more minutes.
I completely understand that feeling, because when my alarm goes off during the week, I often think that 5 more minutes will not make a big difference, even though I know very well that those 5 minutes can quickly become 15.
Yes, that small decision in the morning can really change the mood of the entire day, because if I wake up late, I feel rushed and stressed. But if I sit up immediately and stretch my body, I feel more responsible and prepared.
After I wake up, I usually drink a glass of water because it helps me feel refreshed, and I like to stand near the window for a moment to look at the sky and take a slow, deep breath before the day becomes busy.
I love those quiet morning moments because they feel peaceful and give me time to prepare mentally, and sometimes I use that short time to think about my goals for the day.
After that, I wash my face, brush my teeth, and get dressed for the day. And while I'm getting ready, I usually think about my schedule and remind myself of the most important tasks I need to complete.
I also like to plan my day in my mind because when I know what I need to do, I feel less anxious and more confident that I can manage everything properly.
Breakfast is very important for me because if I skip it, I feel tired and distracted later. So I usually prepare something simple like eggs, toast, or fruit, and sometimes I make coffee because the warm smell makes the kitchen feel cozy.
I agree, because that first sip of coffee or tea in the morning feels comforting, and it gives me a small but powerful boost of energy that helps me feel motivated.
While eating breakfast, I sometimes check my phone briefly to see if there are any urgent messages, but I try not to spend too much time scrolling because I want to protect my peaceful start.
That is very wise, because when we spend too much time on social media early in the morning, our minds can become distracted and less focused on what really matters.
And after breakfast, I prepare to leave for work. And during my commute, I often listen to music or a podcast because it makes the journey feel shorter and helps me enter a productive mindset.
I also enjoy listening to something motivating while traveling because it changes my mood and gives me fresh ideas before I begin my responsibilities.
Friendly and professional. When I arrive at the office, I greet my coworkers with a smile and say good morning because I believe that positive energy in the beginning can influence the rest of the day.
Warm and sincere. That is so true because even a simple greeting can make someone feel noticed and respected, and building good relationships at work is very important.
Focused and determined. In the morning, I usually start with the most important tasks because my mind feels clear and sharp, and I want to use that fresh energy wisely.
Proud and motivated. When I complete an important task early in the day, I feel a sense of achievement, and that feeling motivates me to continue working with confidence.
Calm but serious, sometimes unexpected problems appear, and when that happens, I try to stay calm and think carefully before reacting, because I have learned that stress does not solve anything.
Reassuring and thoughtful. Yes, and I remind myself that challenges are normal in daily life, and with patience and steady effort, most problems can be solved step by step.
So this is how our day usually begins, starting with sleepy moments in the morning and slowly moving into focused and productive hours. And already we can see how emotions change from tiredness to motivation.
Gentle and inviting. And in the next part, we will continue sharing what happens during the afternoon and evening when our energy changes again and we start thinking about relaxation and personal time.
After finishing the busy morning tasks, I usually start to feel a small change in my energy because the excitement of the early hours slowly becomes steady focus, and I begin to notice that my mind needs short breaks to stay productive.
I feel the same way in the early afternoon because even if I am still motivated, my body sometimes feels a little tired, and I realize how important it is to manage my energy carefully instead of pushing myself too hard.
Around lunchtime, I usually step away from my desk and take a proper break because I've learned that eating while working makes me feel more stressed and less satisfied.
Yes, and lunchtime feels like a small reset button in the middle of the day, because when I sit down calmly and enjoy my meal without rushing, I feel my mood becoming lighter and more balanced.
Sometimes I eat with coworkers, and we talk about simple topics like weekend plans, movies, or funny daily experiences, and those small conversations help me feel connected instead of isolated.
I really value those simple conversations because work is not only about tasks and deadlines, but also about human connection, and sharing a laugh during lunch can reduce a lot of stress.
After lunch, I usually take a short walk, even if it is just 5 or 10 minutes, because moving my body helps me wake up again and improves my concentration for the rest of the afternoon.
That is such a healthy habit because even a short walk outside can clear your mind and give you fresh energy, especially if you have been sitting for many hours.
When I return to work after lunch, I try to organize my remaining tasks carefully because the afternoon is usually when new problems come suddenly or new responsibilities appear.
Yes, afternoons can sometimes feel unpredictable, and when new problems come suddenly, I remind myself to breathe slowly and handle one thing at a time instead of feeling overwhelmed.
When I react calmly to problems, my coworkers also stay calm, and the situation becomes easier to manage because everyone feels more confident.
That shows how important emotional control is in daily life because our reactions can influence the atmosphere around us more than we realize.
By the late afternoon, I sometimes feel my energy decreasing again, and my eyes feel a little heavy after looking at a computer screen for many hours.
I completely understand that feeling because there are moments when I look at the clock and quietly wish that time would move a little faster.
But even when I feel tired, I try to finish my final tasks properly because ending the workday in an organized way makes the evening much more peaceful.
I agree, because when I complete my responsibilities before leaving, I feel satisfied and proud, and I do not carry unnecessary stress back home with me.
When the workday finally ends, I often feel a sense of relief, as if a weight has been lifted from my shoulders, and I take a deep breath before leaving the office.
That moment when you step outside after work feels special because the air feels fresher and you know that the rest of the evening belongs to you.
During my commute home, I usually listen to calm music instead of energetic songs because I want my mind to slowly transition from work mode to relaxation mode.
I like that idea of transition because it is not easy to suddenly stop thinking about work, and giving yourself time to mentally change roles is very healthy.
When I arrive home, I often feel happy just seeing familiar surroundings, and that simple feeling of comfort reminds me that home is a place to rest and recharge.
Yes, and sometimes I change into comfortable clothes immediately because that small action tells my brain that the busy part of the day is officially over.
That is so true, because comfortable clothes feel like a reward after a long day of responsibility.
In the evening, I usually spend some time doing something I enjoy, such as reading a book, watching a series, or simply sitting quietly and thinking about the day.
I also like to reflect on my day in the evening, because I believe that understanding what went well and what could improve helps me grow little by little.
Sometimes when I think about my day, I feel grateful for small successes, like finishing a task on time or helping someone at work, and those small achievements give me quiet happiness.
Gratitude is very powerful, because even if the day wasn't perfect, focusing on positive moments makes the overall experience feel meaningful.
As the night becomes quieter, my body starts to feel more relaxed, and I notice that my thoughts slow down compared to the busy morning.
Before going to bed, I usually prepare for the next day by organizing my bag or writing a short to-do list, because that preparation helps me sleep with a peaceful mind.
I think that ending the day calmly is just as important as starting it positively, because the way we close our day influences how we begin the next one.
And that is how a normal day in my life moves from sleepy morning moments to busy working hours, and finally to quiet evening reflection, with many different emotions appearing throughout the day.
Yes, and in the next part, we can talk even more deeply about the emotions behind these routines and how daily habits slowly shape the person we become. When I think more deeply about my daily routine, I realize that every small action, even something simple like making my bed or preparing breakfast, slowly shapes my mindset and influences how I see myself as a person.
I feel the same way, because daily habits may look small and ordinary, but when we repeat them again and again, they build discipline, confidence, and even self-respect without us noticing it immediately.
There are days when I do not feel very motivated, and on those days, I understand that life is not always full of energy and excitement, but I still try to complete my basic responsibilities because consistency is more important than temporary motivation.
That is such an important point, because many people wait to feel motivated before taking action, but in reality, action often creates motivation, and not the other way around.
Sometimes when I look back at my day before sleeping, I ask myself whether I used my time wisely, and even if I made small mistakes, I try not to judge myself too harshly, because learning is part of growth.
I completely agree, because being too critical of ourselves can create unnecessary stress. And instead of focusing only on what went wrong, we should also recognize what we did well.
One thing I have learned from observing my daily life is that happiness often hides inside ordinary moments, like enjoying a quiet cup of tea or having a meaningful conversation with someone.
Yes, and when we slow down enough to notice those simple moments, we begin to understand that a good life is not always about big achievements, but about appreciating small daily experiences.
There were times in my life when I thought my routine was boring, but now I see that routine actually gives me stability and comfort, especially during stressful periods.
Routine can feel repetitive, but it also creates structure. And structure gives us a sense of control in a world that often feels unpredictable.
For anyone listening, I would suggest paying attention to your daily habits because they tell a story about who you are becoming, and even small improvements can create big results over time.
Yes, and if there is something in your daily routine that you want to improve, start with one small change instead of trying to change everything at once, because slow progress is more sustainable.
At the end of the day, what matters most to me is whether I acted with kindness, responsibility, and honesty, because those values give meaning to my daily activities.
I feel the same way, and I believe that when we focus on being better people instead of only being more successful, our daily lives feel more meaningful and balanced.
Talking about a simple day in my life reminds me that even ordinary days are full of lessons, emotions, and opportunities to grow quietly.
And sometimes we don't need extraordinary events to feel satisfied, because completing our daily tasks in staying true to our values is already something to be proud of.
We hope that by listening to this conversation, you feel more confident describing your own daily routine in English and expressing your feelings about your experiences.
Try to speak about your day step by step, from morning to night, and don't worry about making mistakes, because every time you speak, you're improving little by little.
Thank you so much for spending your time with us today and for being part of the Smart English podcast community, because your effort to practice English truly inspires us.
We really appreciate your support and your dedication to learning, and we look forward to continuing this journey together in our next episode.
Until next time, take care of yourself, stay positive, and remember that every new day is another opportunity to grow.
See you in the next episode, and keep practicing your English with confidence and patience.